We are still wondering why the heck the Cowboys didn't play one of their best defenders versus the Saints as much as they did in week 1. They provided some answers. The problem is they're not good. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central, and catching up with you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with quick-hitting videos such as this one. It's been about 24 hours since the Cowboys lost their game to the New Orleans Saints 44-19, an embarrassing loss, which we recapped last night on the live show. But now I want to go deeper into the whole DeMarvion Overshown thing, and I'm going to jump straight into it. The Cowboys played DeMarvion Overshown 44 snaps versus the Browns. You know what the result of that was? He was a top 3 Cowboys defender versus the run, according to Pro Football Focus. He was a top 3 player in pass coverage. He was a top 3 player as a pass rusher. Didn't rush the passer that much. When he did, when his name was called, he delivered. Fast forward to week 2, his snap count is cut in half from 44 to 18. Baffling decision. We were wondering about it since the moment the game started. And I was like, why is Maurice Leafau, Eric Kendricks, and Damon Clark out there? 3 linebackers, none of them was DeMarvion Overshown, who, again, was one of the best players on the team last week. Micah Parsons goes out there and he talks about how this guy is going to be an all-pro, and then he doesn't play in week 2. We talked about this on Sunday night. Everyone was confused. The guy didn't even see the field until the Saints had scored like 21 points against the Cowboys defense. Naturally, the coaches have been asked about this, right? And shout out to Clarence Hill from Old City, Dallas. Shout out to the entire Old City, Dallas crew. Aisha, Joe, Jesse. They've got Clarence in there. And Clarence Hill hit Mike McCarthy with a remarkable question. A really repping Cowboys Nation there, Clarence Hill was. Why did Overshown did not play? I did not like the answer, but I'll let you listen to it first, right? So ignore what I just said. I don't want you to go into it biased. Here's what Mike McCarthy had to say about it.
What is the difference?
Well, I just think like anything, you got a new scheme, you got young players. You make decisions on training reps in base, training reps in sub. So, obviously last week he was primarily, going to be, part of the sub package. We weren't anticipate being in that much base going into the game, but that's, that's the way the game went. Those things happen.
John.
I got to tell you, that's a non-answer right off the bat. That is a non-answer from Mike McCarthy, and I'll tell you exactly why. We knew about the base defense thing. We knew about it last night, right? We didn't need to listen to a post-game presser. We could have told you it. We talked about this on primetime last night. We were tweeting about it in-game. The Cowboys were facing a very different offense than they had against the Browns. And if you're confused with all of the base, nickel, sub stuff, here's a quick explainer. The Cowboys played the Browns in week 1. They like to play spread formations, 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers out there. Naturally, you got to match that with 3 cornerbacks. That includes your nickel and 2 linebackers, right? So you're basically playing a 4-2-5 kind of look. 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and then you got your 5 defensive backs. The Cowboys then face the Saints, and they're going to play a whole lot more of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field. They're going to get a fullback in there. Hell, they'll run 13 personnel and hit you with 3 tight ends. And they're going to go with these condensed, heavier formations, and they're going to demand that you play them with 3 linebackers. So that is a whole logic behind the sub defense and base defense and all that. And McCarthy's explanation for Overshown not getting as many reps as Overshown did in week 1 was that they were playing more base defense. That's not a good enough answer, right? Because that was made evident since yesterday. The problem is, why is he not on the base defense package? Why is Overshown sitting on the sideline when the Cowboys got to run 3 linebackers out there? Mike Zimmer also talked to the media, and shout out to Calvin Watkins, he tweeted this out at the moment of this recording. this interview has not been uploaded to the Cowboys YouTube channel, but Calvin Watkins from Dallas Morning News, he said, right, that Overshown didn't get much work in the offseason due to recovery from ACL and learning a new scheme. And then he added, the other part here is Zimmer likes Overshown in the nickel package over the base package. Dallas used more nickel packages in week 1 compared to week 2. That is also not a good enough answer, right? What is this about Overshown not getting enough reps in training camp? Because if he is good enough and experienced enough for him to start on your real base defense, because let's talk about this. The real base defense in the NFL is no longer the 4-3 or the 3-4. The real base defense in this league is your nickel package. So if Overshown is good enough to be in that nickel package, and when I say the true base, I mean that's what you're going to play for most of the year, because most of the teams in the NFL are running 11 personnel at least 60% of the time. Most of the teams in the league. You can check those stats. So if he's good enough to be in that most important package, why can't he be in base? Now, mind you, the benchmark for being a part of the base defense was not like an all-pro linebacker or a pro bowler or anything like that. Third-round rookie Maurice Leofau was on the base defense for the Cowboys on Sunday. And he made mistakes, believe me. And we might go over this in detail during the week when we dive into the film. But just based on the initial watch from the film, Maurice Leofau made some mistakes. And you can go check that out. You know who has some good clips on that? John Owning from PFF. You can go check his Twitter. And I even quoted it and said, this was a reminder of why it's so complicated to lean on rookies as much as the Cowboys are leaning on rookies in 2024. And there's another discussion about that regarding pass pro, but we might save that for tomorrow here on the show. But what I'm trying to say is, it's not like Overshown was benched for 3 versions of Eric Kendricks, who has the experience, who knows the scheme inside and out. He was benched for Maurice Leofau. That is unacceptable. And guess what? If he doesn't have the knowledge or the reps to play base defense, to play 4-3, and that problem is on the coaches. That was a mistake on the coaching staff in training camp. But I got to tell you, I kind of don't fully believe it. It's just such a weird answer to be like, oh yeah, Overshown is a starter on nickel, but he's not a starter on the 4-3. That does not make any sort of sense to me. And listen, it's not like Overshown is Marquise Bell playing at under 200 pounds or anything like that. Overshown was taking on Browns offensive linemen and blowing them up in the trenches. Overshown was going out there in open field and bringing down David freaking Njoku. It's not like Overshown is not physical enough to be in the 4-3 and play against these condensed formations. Doesn't make any sort of sense. I might be looking forward a little bit here and I might be overreacting, but just pairing this with another comment that Mike Zimmer made today via multiple reporters, I just wonder if the Cowboys are trying to get way too cute with the defense. And here's what I mean. Mike Zimmer looked ahead at the Baltimore Ravens matchup in week 3. The Cowboys are playing Lamar Jackson. You know what Overshown did tremendously versus the Browns? Spying on Watson, on Deshaun Watson. So naturally, you go up against Lamar, who you know you're going to have to put a spy on, and you go, well, you know, Overshown did a pretty good job at spying Deshaun. It makes sense to do the same against Lamar. You know what Mike Zimmer said? I don't know. It might be Micah Parsons. You know, why? Like, Micah did not have a bad game against the Saints. And watching the film reveals that. A lot of criticism headed Micah's way yesterday. Naturally so, because you're watching the game live and you're like, where the hell is Parsons? If he's supposed to be a defensive player of the year, why is he not showing up? Blah, blah, blah. You watch the tape, he did show up, right? It's not fair to put it on him that the rest of the defense did not show up. But here's what I mean. Once more, you're trying to maybe to get too cute. Overshown worked against Deshaun, and I know Deshaun is no Lamar Jackson. I'm not trying to say that he is, but why not allow Overshown to do what he already excelled at and let Micah do what he excels at respectively, right? Let him rush the passer, because Lamar Jackson will also punish you if you're not rushing the passer properly. And let me tell you something. If Micah is not going against that QB, I'm not sure who is, honestly. DeMarcus Lawrence is off to a great start, but other than that, you have some trouble at defensive end, honestly, at this point. By the way, Marshawn Neiland, not a great game in week 2. Another example of how risky it is to really lean on a rookie class to upgrade your team, let alone fill some voids, upgrade the team, right? So what I'm trying to say here is I'm not content at all with the answer from the coaching staff to replace DeMarvion Overshown in the base defensive looks. I think it's a problem that they did so. I think it's a problem that they're defending the decision. And I really look forward to the Cowboys fixing it, because they gotta fix it. This cannot be the plan moving forward. Overshown is too good to be standing on the sideline. I don't care if you're running a 4-3, if you're running a 3-4, if you're running nickel, if you're doing what, Overshown has to be there. And the Cowboys have been bullish on Overshown since he was a rookie, right? And all of a sudden, he cannot be on base, but he can be on the most important package, which is the nickel, because that's the one that you're going to use the most when the season is over. Make it make sense, because the Cowboys didn't after week 2. We've had press conferences now, and we're still confused about the decision, because telling us that Overshown didn't play because the Cowboys were playing base defense is not new information. We knew that since Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button for me if you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, check out adzsports.com/Cowboys for more Cowboys content. Check out the morning show, the primetime show, and have a good one. Bye-bye.